I guess I'll start. Just where have you seen the biggest growth in Darian Porter's game over the course of the season?
Patience at the line of scrimmage, confidence in tackling in terms of taking the right angle, getting his shoulder, getting his some knee bend, getting his pads down lower. So that's definitely been a positive.
How do you prepare for a play like they have the short yardage situation where it's kind of tough to simulate that in practice?
Well, that's our job. Just lack of padded days that go on throughout the league. We got to find ways to simulate as much as possible. Being creative about doing it, and then really for that play, if they're on your schedule, if you weren't thinking about it prior to this week, then you're going to be behind. So you saw like a few teams obviously had plans that were really good. And that's something that you want to watch that and see what they did to affect it. But you got to start earlier than this week.
This is the first week this season that you may have a weather situation.
Yeah.
How does that impact what you look at defensively when you get to Sunday?
I learned a long time from Coach Belichick. When I was a QC my first year, I knew it when I was in college coaching and stuff, but just how important the weather comes into play. I forget it was a game, I think it was in October, and all of a sudden we had like a flash snowstorm. And, I had to scramble to go make a tape about how to play in the snow. And, I'm like, I've never been a part of a game in the snow before, except for when I was in high school for Thanksgiving. But it definitely affects it, the different ways that with the ball, the different types of plays that you could see possibly based on the quarterback, based on the who they have over there. So it comes into play, and it showed me the level of detail required to be successful at this level. And Tom slung it around for, I don't know, we had 49 points at halftime. So Tom knew what he was doing in it.
How do you coach up, Darian Porter in the situation now? He's going up against, some elite receivers on Sunday. Can you just talk about his progression and how you get him ready for that?
It's funny, each week you go like, okay, this guy's fast, this guy's big. All the teams got those guys. It's a position in the league right now. And again, most of them seem to be coming from LSU, but not all of them. So, but they're so big, so fast, so skilled. And what you do, you just try to tell them to just trust this process, and then do a study on the players and try to have an idea of his individual matchup. Most offenses aren't doing old school, Indianapolis Colts, Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning, where they're all on the same side all the time. So you're gonna have to do your homework on all of them. So just trust in your process.
It seems like Jalen Hurts has had his struggles, especially turning the ball over. I guess, have you seen anything from him differently as you study?
A couple. I mean, he had one bad game, turn the ball. He's been protecting the ball pretty well. I think whatever the ratio was, he had, before the game, he had 19 touchdowns to 2 picks or something like that. I mean, he's a world champ quarterback, led his team twice to the Super Bowl. He's been a winner his whole career. So, again, our job is to try to frustrate and make it hard on the quarterback. But at this point, he's seen a bunch. I was at the Giants when he first got into the league. So, he's even familiar with, stuff I've thrown at him in the past. So the biggest thing is try to make it hard on him. You're trying to make it be all-inclusive. So, whether you're tying in the front disguise, the coverage disguise, you're trying to force all 11 to be on the same page. That's really the sign of when you're really trying to trick somebody, you're trying to force all 11 to be on the same page. So that's a key when you get to the passing situations. And then the best thing you could do is minimize the run game because, any good quarterback will tell you a good run game is going to definitely help you in the pass game. Right, good?
How do you expect rookies like
Tonka Hemingway and Pegues to progress in these final weeks as that they may start to get more opportunity?
Just get comfortable just going. Don't worry about a missed assignment too much. Play with great effort, strike your key, and then listen. That's the beauty of that position. You got to hear where the close call is. Then if they're stunting you or moving you, you got to listen. So, again, luckily for them at that position, a lot of it is listen first and then just read your keys. So if they can improve upon that and then play with great effort, I think they've made good strides in their rookie year.
All good, guys?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
You spent most of the season as the quarterback's coach, but at least from your vantage point, and certainly since you took over as the play caller, where have you seen growth in Caleb Rogers, the most growth in Caleb Rogers?
Really, just the fact he's getting experience. He just gets, better every day, and we talk about that on a daily basis. Just trying to become the best version of yourself and constant, never-ending self-improvement. And he's gone out and whatever role that you're asked to do the best that you can and compete every day at practice. And he just competed. And again, the more live reps he's gotten, the more experience he's getting, the better he's played.
What does Kenny Pickett bring to the table in terms of your offense that maybe allows you to do something different should he play on Sunday with the playbook?
Well, really, he's shown mobility. He's even in college, he did a lot of things there with his legs. So he gives that part of his game maybe that's not that Geno isn't mobile, but the ability to escape and run and create and do some of those things. So that's what we saw obviously Sunday, and we expect that going forward. And that's part of his game and part of who he was as a player when he came out of college.
What are your takeaways from what you did see from Kenny on Sunday?
Positives. He had, I think, 6 or 7 completions in a row down the stretch. He managed it in a very difficult situation. He had 2 2-minute situations and scored 10 points. So it was good to see. He's had some rapport, obviously, with Shed, running the show team and the scout team in practice over the last, 6 months. He's got a lot of work with Shed. So that was good to see those two connect. And, so it was, he's just done a good job and just stayed involved.
What does Ian Thomas bring to the offense?
Again, athletic ability. He's a great athlete, really an overall tight end. He does a nice job for us at inline blocking, but he's also a threat as a receiving tight end. So he gives us some versatility there.
Jack Besh had probably his best game of the year against Denver. Just what were your impressions of how he did? We got a chance to look back at the film.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Again, we were able to target him, and all the targets that we took to him, he caught. So he's getting obviously more comfortable within the system, and the quarterbacks are getting more comfortable in knowing where he's at and trusting him. So that was good to see.
When you elite defensive tackles like they do, guys on the interior, does that change kind of your mindset going into a game, just knowing how much talent they have, especially right there?
Yeah, we talked about last week's defensive front. This week presents another significant challenge. They're playing very well up front, and but each week we look at it. It was Myles Garrett the week before in Cleveland. So it's every week presents a challenge. But this is a very good defensive front, 7. And so, again, it presents us with a big challenge.
For you as a play caller, is it more trying to do what you do, or is it more trying to find vulnerabilities on the other side? Where's that balance?
No, yeah, I think, again, in this system that we're in right now, I think you and whatever system you're in, you're always trying to find ways to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and make sure that your quarterback is not asked to do something that he's not comfortable with. So you build it around the quarterback, and then you try to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and that's what we'll continue to try and do here over these last 4 weeks.
The fact that you guys both played the Chargers here in the last couple of weeks, does that help at all? Common opponent and team in terms of looking at what they did against the Chargers?
Yeah, all throughout the year. I mean, you're always looking at the previous games that teams have played and how other teams have attacked them to look for different ideas that were successful. Obviously we've talked about it. It is a copycat league, but they've also understand their vulnerabilities when they've been beaten on some things. So you look to see if they've made adjustments defensively. Otherwise, you kind of go back through the entire season and try and find the concepts, whether it be in a run game or a pass game, that are consistently good against them.
Have you been able to pick Kenny's brain at all about the Philadelphia defense and maybe some of the things he knows?
Yeah, he's been very open, and even just playing there, and talking with the other offensive players really about what's going to be like to play there in terms of noise and crowd factor. But he's very aware of kind of their personnel and has given us some good insight.
All right.
Thanks, guys.